Learning to use 1950 census location tools with the help of an interactive tutorial, and it's a quiz. Don't be scared about the word quiz. The 1950 U.S. Census will become public on April 1st, 2022. Genealogists and other researchers are looking forward to it. This will be the first one that will actually have a name index, at least a preliminary name index, when it comes out. And I have a YouTube video on name indexes, expectations, limitations, and questions. We have a lot of questions about how that preliminary name index will work and how accurate it will be. I also then made a part 2 video of locational tools. I have a lot of locational tool videos. This is an overview, expectations, limitations, and workarounds. If you have an address and a location of a person in April of 1950, when the census becomes public, you should be able to use that if name indexes fail you to find the population schedule sheets. So you go from an address location to an enumeration district number, and that number should lead you to the population schedule when it becomes public, probably only to the first page, and then you would have to go through the ED's pages to find your residence. So how does one learn to use locational tools? Is it trial and error or error and trial? Were you involved in in-person instruction and talks, workshops perhaps, articles, and work through examples? There's more and more of that material coming online. I have on my YouTube channel, JDW Talks, a lot of specific videos on locational tools. You might want to take a look at that. There are also FAQs. FAQ is a list of questions and answers relating to a particular subject, especially one giving basic information for users of a website. And the website, the premier website for locational tools for census research is at the One Step web pages by Stephen P. Morse. So in order to get there, you go to stevemorse.org, not .com, who is a professional musician. You will want the Unified tool on the U.S. Census section to get to the FAQs. So here is the Unified tool, and if you look carefully, and I'll highlight that for you, there is the frequently asked questions. We rewrote the FAQs for 1950. Spent a lot of time on it. So if you have questions, probably we've answered them in that FAQ. However, we felt that maybe there was another way of presenting that sort of information. So for the 1940 census in June 28th of 2011, we put out a press release announcing the opening of another educational utility to help people learn about the different locational search tools on the One Step site and information about the 1940 census itself. It is in the form of a quiz and should help many genealogists quickly learn how to search an unindexed census by location. And not only is it informative, we hope it is entertaining. And we've done the same thing for 1950, though the 1940 census is still up. So this is an interactive tutorial quiz. Let's figure out what that means. Interactive, and these are definitions that I found on Microsoft Bing. Interactive means allowing a two-way flow of information between a computer and a computer user. That's you guys, and computer is us, responding to a user's input. But it's not a passive situation. A tutorial is a period of instruction given by a university or college tutor. And Steve and I we meet that definition. We both taught at the university level. And in fact, I'm an emeritus professor at California State University, Fullerton. It's also an account or explanation of a subject or task, especially as an online video. But the interactive part makes it a two-way street, not just looking at it. And then, of course, a quiz is to ask someone questions. It's not really, when our quiz is not really a test of knowledge per se, you're not going to be graded on it. You're not going to fail the tutorial quiz. So this 1950 tutorial quiz, we titled it How to Access the 1950 Census in One Step, is filled with interactive questions, best strategy for your situation, second opinion tools, research hints, and links to all one-step tools. This is the basic structure of it, where one asks questions, and we ask the questions, and then you pick one of the answers, and that leads you to us asking you another question and leading you through the process. The tutorial quizzes are on the One Step website, the U.S. Census section. You'll see there the 1950 tutorial quiz. Above it is the 1940. So we redid it for 1950. It starts off on the page. Here is the top of it. And then there's a bunch of information about EDs and about the 1950 census. And then when you're ready, at the bottom of the page, you click there when you're ready to begin. So I want to show you at least the first question. So here's the first question. Do you know the city, town, rural area, or institution in which your family lived on April 1st, 1950, the official 1950 U.S. Census Day? So it's either yes or no, right? Yes, I know where they were in April 1950, or no, I have no clue where they lived. So if you answered yes, you're then taken, and you notice, by the way, you can always go back to the previous page. If you answer yes, we then repeat your answer. So you know the location, etc., etc., etc. That's great. You're ahead of the game and shouldn't have to wait months for a full name index to search for the family in the 1950 census. Remember, this was done before the announcement of a preliminary name index. We anticipate that Family Search will have a crowdsourcing project to produce a full name index with a higher level of proofing. So keep that in mind. So you know the location. Now we ask, were they in rural areas, urban areas, military bases overseas, etc.? And when you answer one of those, you go to another part of the tutorial. You could always go back to the previous page. If you answer no, so you don't know where your family lived in April of 1950, this is the section you would be given next. Here are some suggestions, and so we give you a bunch of places where to look for addresses. In 1950, telephone directories, if you can find them, some of them are online, is a really good source of information, but there's a lot more there for finding addresses. And then at the bottom, you would see a little bit about locational strategies for searching censuses should be in every genealogist's toolbox. They will be helpful whenever name indexes don't work. We don't know how often that preliminary name index is going to get you to the right place. They will also help you if you want to determine if the enumerator skipped the residence. 4.4% of 1950 residences, or at least people, were not on the census. That was an undercount. Or if you want to research the history of your house. And it will be the only way to access censuses that initially have no name index, although there will be the preliminary one, remember. And so then on the bottom, did that help you? Well, obviously, you're going to have to doing some work with all that stuff. You say, still nothing, I really tried. That leads you to a area where we try to encourage you not to give up. Or, yes, now I have the location, thanks. And it probably takes you back to the first question again. So we'll go back to the previous page. So please note, we're not keeping track of people using the tutorial quiz. We're not recording your answers. No one fails our quiz. Our advice is the best we have at the present time. We don't guarantee success if you follow our procedures, but we really hope it will speed up your learning curve. If you feel there's a mistake in the quiz, let us know. The quiz was put together, remember, before the National Archives announced there would be a preliminary name index on opening day. But locational tools will always have a place in Census Researcher's Toolbox. And if I ever get time, I might revise the tutorial quiz with this information. But please be kind. Be kind. I don't know the success and error rates of locational tools. I think that the success is pretty high, but there are some people that may not be able to find their ED numbers. I'll show you two of them, and you know, it really hurts me. Really hurts me, and more ways than one, as you can see here. So we don't want that to happen, and that's one of the reasons why that we put together the tutorial quiz, which is an emphasis on checking results and alternate solutions. So this has been another of my JDW talks. I have YouTube talks on census resources, over 20 for 1950 census alone, Ellis Island, mainly immigration. And because I'm a retired field biologist, I have lots of talks on natural history topics, mostly birds, birding optics, virtual birding field trips, and others. So we all hope that we'll be able to find ourselves. This will be the first census I'll be on when it comes out on April 1st, 2022. Good luck with your research.